Hello and welcome to another Luminous Flow tutorial. My name is Tim and I'll be doing a quick run through of our sample module in VR to give you an idea of what we're able to create with Flow. In this module we have an example of each kind of step that can be created within our graph system, fully set up and ready to try out. So we start here with what we call a show display step, which is essentially a UI that has a button associated with it, allowing you to click it to progress the step, like so. The next step is to teleport. So looking to your right, you'll see an orange teleport point has appeared. Simply hold down the teleporter button, which if you're using a meta quest is the A button on the right hand or the X button on the left hand. Move the reticle over the teleport point, then release, and you'll teleport to that position. Grabbing is nice and simple. You just reach out with your hand and hold the trigger on the back of the controller once you're in contact with the object, and it'll be grabbed into your hand. You then release the trigger to drop the object. Tapping is similar to grabbing, but instead of clicking any buttons, you simply need to reach out and touch the object with the controller. Next up, we have a snap step example. Once you've teleported, you just need to grab the object and release it in or near the area you wish to snap it to. In this case, it's the green highlight just there. Gaze steps are also very straightforward. Simply stare at the object until the timer has emptied, and the step will complete. We'll now teleport over to the valve area. Valve turns are a little bit more complex. The interaction requires a turning item, in this case the wheel key. You need to snap this onto the valve, like so, and then you can use the key as a sort of handle or lever to turn the valve itself. Once the finished rotation has been reached, the step will complete. Heading over to the use step area now, you'll see we have a blowtorch here. You can pick that up the same way we've grabbed everything else, and while grabbing it, hold down the front trigger to start the blowtorch, and then move it so the flame makes contact with the metal cylinder. After a few moments, this step should complete. And steps are essentially a way to combine multiple steps into one if you have no preference on the order they are performed. So here you just need to perform the three actions outlined in the UI however you wish. Perhaps the easiest node to complete is the wait step here. All you need to do is exist here for 3 seconds and the step will see itself out. Similarly, the fade step here just requires you to wait until the fade in and fade out has completed, and then the step will complete and let you continue. Back to a slightly more complex step, here we have the collide functionality. Kind of like a combination between a grab and a tap, you have to pick up one of the objects and tap the second object with it, like so. Generic or custom steps are a little less clear-cut. These are steps that allow you to write your own custom code with your own step completion criteria. When those criteria, whatever they are fulfilled, the step will progress. Timeline steps, similarly to wait steps, require no interaction from the user. These steps allow you to play an animation and effectively pause the flow while it completes. Once the animation is over, the step progresses. Now that we've completed the run-through of the module, we'll take a quick look at how the graph was set up to implement that functionality. You can use this graph as a frame of reference for when you're setting up your own graphs in the future. First off, open up the graph from the Graph Flow Manager found on the Game Manager object in the hierarchy. Here you'll see the graph. We start with the pink show display nodes giving us the instructions for proceeding. These are like UIs. We then have two blue teleport steps for moving to new positions. These have show display actions for the UI and nodes for setting the teleport visuals active, as well as hand menu nodes for the handheld UI. After that, we have the grab object step here in green. This will usually require a highlight action node to highlight the object in addition to having the UI display nodes. Similarly, the tap here in orange also needs a highlight and the UI nodes. In yellow here, we see the snap object step, where we once again highlight the object we need to snap, and also have a child object here called the snap zone highlight, which we set active to give a green outline showing where we want to place the object. The gaze step here in dark blue, we usually just set up with the UI and a highlight so the user knows what they're supposed to look at. Same goes for the valve turn here in purple. We highlight the valve and place the UI. And then the use object here in lavender, very much the same setup, just a UI and a highlight on the object. The AND group looks a little different, as you need to create the subnodes as well as attach any actions that are required on start or complete of those steps, and then drag them onto the group itself. You can also have action nodes that take place on start or complete of the AND group itself, for example for UI. The wait duration, along with the following fade steps, don't really require any additional setup aside from UI actions. The fade step does require 2 nodes, however. One fades to black, the other fades back in again. Next up is the collide step, which takes in 2 colliders for the 2 objects you wish to interact. Again, this will just require some highlights and UI actions in addition. The custom step here stores a reference to the custom step functionality from your scene, which looks like this. The actions this step will need are just whatever you deem necessary based on your code. Finally, we have the play timeline step, which references a playable director from your scene here, and a timeline asset, which will be an asset somewhere in your project window. Again, the actions you need for this step may vary, so that's up to you. And that's everything. If you have any further questions, please see our other tutorial videos or check out the documentation.